Welcome to Phone Booth Fighting, everybody, your twice weekly podcast brought to you courtesy of Earth's Brew. Earth's Brew, the plant-based taste of Nirvana, a great tasting, health-conscious, functional tea that provides its effects within minutes using a synergistic mix of evidence-backed plant and herbal ingredients to promote a sense of high-functioning and active calm, relieving stress, boosting metabolism, and focusing the mind to enhance work, school, and play. I'll tell you what I have started doing recently, Jennifer, is I have started heating it up. I drink it like a tea. I prefer hot to cold beverage. I have heard Frank say that he is the opposite. Yeah. He likes things mostly cold. Pull your microphone over there, right there. There we go. I've heard he is he prefers things chilled. Mm-hmm. I prefer them hot. See, there's a big stark difference between the two of us. But hot or cold, you can enjoy your Earth's Brew all just the same. I drink it right before I go to bed. It helps kind of slow the mind down. I know Frank has been using it post-workout and that sort of thing when he has a lot on his mind as well. And he's always quick to point out, Jennifer, that because you are the calorie counter in the family, especially when it's training camp time, that Earth's Brew is only 15 calories per serving, which is something you're keeping an eye on when it comes to his diet, right?
Yes.
All right, very important. No artificial colors or sweeteners in that. It is compatible with vegan diets like mine because it is 100% plant-based, or if you do low-carb or keto, it's compatible with all of that as well. And here's the best news. For Phone Booth Fighting listeners exclusively, a discount offer, go to earthsbrew.com, put in the promo code PhoneBooth, and receive 10% off all orders at checkout. earthsbrew.com, promo code PhoneBooth, and tell them Frank and Richard sent you. This podcast is also brought to you by Low T Nation, the fine folks over at lowtnation.com. Tell me yet again this week that they are hearing from a ton of you guys, and that is great news. It's great news, number one, to hear that we're able to affect and help that many people. This was something I was not real up to speed on before Frank brought Brandon and Jason over from Low T Nation to get involved in the show, but I have talked to Brandon. He says he's hearing from more and more of you guys on a daily and weekly basis. How does it work? It's real simple. You go to lowtnation.com. You can contact them by phone right there, or the email contact is on there as well. You'll talk to Brandon, our good friend over there, and what he's going to do is he's going to set you up with a lab in your area. They're based in Atlanta, but that part doesn't matter because pretty much wherever you're located in the United States, they can set you up with a lab that will do some real simple blood work on you to make sure that you are a candidate and you're compatible. If you've got any kind of low testosterone levels, a lot of people have it. They don't even know they have it. Some people feel more visible effects of it, and the thing is to maybe catch it before you're feeling all those physical effects. And they'll get you set up with that lab work. That lab work goes to them, and then they take it from there. They'll get on the phone with you. They'll talk to you about the best path of treatment, and from that point, the stuff is shipped to you right to your door. So there's no more having to go back and forth to doctors' offices all the time and that sort of thing. And I know Jennifer Frank tells me that's a big plus for him because he enjoys convenience. Anything to keep him from having to make long trips to and fro. I know that
actually I like the convenience
because
I would be the one
that's right
doing the long trips to and fro.
Yeah, that's true. So just like we've set the podcast up within shouting distance of the master bedroom here at Stately Mirror Manor, Low T Nation can do the same thing for you. So go to lowtnation.com. Won't cost you anything to just get the information right off there, or for that matter, a free consultation over the phone. Brandon's happy to talk to you. He likes talking to Phone Booth Fighting listeners anyway because he and Jason listen to Phone Booth Fighting. That's how they got involved in the show to begin with. So give him a ring. Let him know we sent you. It's a great way to support the show. And if it turns out that you're a candidate and that this is something that can help you, then all the better. lowtnation.com. And again, please tell them that Frank and Richard sent you. All right, Jennifer, the lovely Mrs. Meir, Jennifer Meir, is in what is normally my seat. I am in what is normally Frank's seat, and Frank is off in some country that ends with the word Stan. Well, do you know where he is?
Grozny.
Grozny. Well, see, you made a lie. I don't know. It's not Grozny Stan this time, but he's in Grozny.
And then he's going to Tajikistan.
Well, see there. Okay,
Yes.
half credit on that. But this is kind of an unusually long trip for him because he's been coming back. He hasn't been gone for more than the better part of a week for the most part, but this is one of the few times where he's done like a 2-week.
Yeah, usually he leaves
stint.
Wednesday night and comes home Sunday night.
Yeah.
But with this trip, Grozny and Tajikistan are so far. They're like the farthest places. So instead of leaving Tuesday night or Wednesday night, he has to leave Tuesday night and comes home Monday night.
Yeah.
So he would have had to come home Monday night and then turn around and leave Tuesday back to Tajikistan. So
Right. Gotcha.
he just stayed.
So he's staying over there, and surprise, surprise, they don't have the most stable of Wi-Fi networks over there. So normally we would try to get him up here on the big screen, and the text message that I got from him last night was just, hey, it's bad over here. So we're going to try to reconnect. We're going to try to connect with him on our next episode, the second episode of this week, at least get him up on the screen.
Well, and I told you he's probably going to call.
Oh, okay.
Me
well,
on
maybe
my phone
maybe if nothing else, he'll pop up on the phone. Then we can hold the phone up to the camera, and he can at least wave at phone booth fighting
because he
listeners
FaceTimes me
from his hut that he's staying in over there. All right. Well, the good news is for you know what? For all I know, we may be better off with you in that. Don't tell him I told you this, but our YouTube numbers on our Phone Booth Fighting YouTube page seem to reflect positively when you're on the show. I don't know why, but they do. And
Good, so you have to be sure to tell him I'm pulling my weight.
Exactly. Well,
when he's
and
gone.
then some. That's the thing. Is it's like you might just you might just move him right out
Bump
of a
him out of
job. I
spot?
don't know. Yeah, but or maybe me. Probably the two of you
No.
would be more appealing than maybe.
Can you
I'm the
imagine he
weak
comes
link in all
back and
this.
he's like, okay, Richard, Sunday night, so we're on, right? And you're like, well, you know, I got some good news and bad news.
Yeah.
You know?
Jennifer fired me.
No, saying that, Frank, we don't need you on Sunday.
Oh, I see.
Jen's
That's
filling
right.
in for you.
That's right. He would be all right with
Oh,
that.
please. He'd be fine, yeah.
Hopefully everybody's checking out our Phone Booth Fighting YouTube page. If you haven't looked at it in the last 3 weeks or so, big things happening over there. First of all, every episode that we do is uploaded and archived in its entirety. But also, if you're on the go and maybe you can't ingest a whole episode of Phone Booth Fighting at one sitting, we've now got select highlight clips that are being made over there. So there's usually 3 or 4 of the top 5-minute highlight clips that are on our Phone Booth Fighting YouTube page. So check those out. It's a great way to get up to speed in case you can't catch the entire episode. And of course, you can link them to your friends and that sort of thing. We always like it when people help spread the good word over there at the Phone Booth Fighting YouTube page. Also, our iTunes reviews. If you haven't had an opportunity yet, do us a big favor. Frank and I would really appreciate it if you can go to iTunes, search Phone Booth Fighting, and you'll see our podcast page come up. Click on the 5 stars, and if you have a moment, write us a favorable line or two. We like to read those on the air, and it really helps us stay in the top rankings on the iTunes podcast charts. We're also available in Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, or wherever podcasts are available across all platforms. We would really appreciate your support. Now, here in just a little bit, Jennifer, we're going to do another much-anticipated round of Ask Mrs. Mirror. It was very fortuitous that you were sitting in on the show tonight because we got some requests to do that from people who didn't even know you would be on tonight. It was like, when are we getting another installment? So
good.
You can ask Mrs. Mirror all the questions, and she answers them. And we'll be pulling those up on our social media platforms here in just a little bit. All right, we're going to talk a little fighting. We're going to talk a little pop culture, some things that Jennifer's probably going to know a little more about than me. She can help guide me through a few things here. First things first, though, and this relates directly to the UFC, which is, it sounds kind of funny to say Frank's former employer, but it is now his former employer. But while he was over there, he did a lot of commentary work with the WEC before that was absorbed into the UFC. Well, the UFC, it was announced today, is losing one of its main voices. That is Brian Stann. Brian Stan is leaving the UFC. Of course, he retired a few years ago and transitioned over to broadcasting, and now he's leaving the company entirely. He's going to go into real estate. And I was caught off guard by this announcement, especially with Mike Goldberg departing recently, because, you know, Stan had been working over there for a few years, working his way up the chain. They had him working a lot with, he'd work with John Anik a lot, who's great over there. And, you know, you just got the idea that even though they have a rotating cast, that Stan was definitely one of their go-to guys. And he's actually going to step away from the whole thing. Made an announcement on his Instagram page earlier. Said, I'm announcing my departure from calling fights with the UFC. I've been offered an amazing leadership role with a fast-growing real estate firm. And he's going to be attending Northwestern to get his executive MBA this fall. So he's getting into real estate and he's going back to college. So time to go backpack shopping. Well, that's, I mean, you know, he's always been a go-getter. I mean, he was a decorated military hero before he was getting into fighting, and then he got into fighting, and then he transitioned to broadcasting. I'll tell you something that always impressed me about him. And I don't know him personally, but just I've interviewed him a couple of times, but just watching from afar, he was always extremely well prepared and well researched for fights. One, he would go to all the weigh-ins, and you wouldn't see all the guys do that a lot of times. I mean, he went to the weigh-ins just to see the guys, just to see what they look like when they weighed in, you know. And then I was behind his broadcast position a lot of times, and just the notes that he took, maybe it's the OCD in me or whatever, I'm kind of appreciative of. But, I mean, he clearly had done his research. He was not, and, you know, this is something that I've always said I admire about Frank. And, of course, he's gotten great accolades for doing broadcasting. Well, case in point, he's not here because he's off being a professional broadcaster. But I do, this is something that I see in common with both those guys, is that a lot of times the professional athlete who's going to think they're going to transition into broadcasting is a recipe for disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Because they think there's nothing to it. They think it's just, oh, we just sit down and say whatever comes to the top of our head. You know, what I know I've been a fighter, so of course I can talk about fighting. No, that's kind of like me saying, well, I talk about fighting, so I'm sure I can fight. You know, it doesn't always translate.
No,
so,
it's a lot of work. Frank does a lot of homework.
He does. He does. And so that's something that, you know, I've always appreciated about him as his partner, but something that I've also seen over those last couple of years with Brian Stan. So he'll be missed doing that job. I mean, they've got some other great analysts over there. I tell you, for my money, Dominic Cruz is, I think, the best
like Dominic Cruz.
Right?
I mean, besides Frank, of course.
Well, sure.
Frank's the best, but besides Frank, I like Dominic Cruz better than. Yeah. I mean, out of Brian Stan, out of Kenny Florian, I like Dominic Cruz.
He probably is, and this is something I've noticed with Dominic Cruz, even just interviewing him when he's promoting his own fights. He's great at analyzing his own fights. He'll analyze the fight for you like he's doing the color commentary and then fight the fight.
I feel like he has character. He has more character. Brian Stan's very technical, and I think Kenny Florian kind of is too, but Dominic Cruz brings both. I think he's got character and charisma on top of he's a good analyst.
They have good choices over there. It's not, I mean, it's not that they're hurting for analyst talent over there, and I think that the UFC or Fox, whoever's making those decisions has done well at identifying talent. But anyway, you know, Brian Stan, like I said, one of their top guys will be missed, and so now when you talk about those that main broadcast position, I guess you'll have.
But they've got John Anik. He's really good too. I like him a lot.
You know, Anik and Rogan seem to be doing well, and it seems like what they're doing now too a lot since Mike Goldberg has departed is they're kind of rotating in that third voice. And not always for the entire card. Sometimes it kind of reminds me of the old days where like Randy Couture would pop up or something.
I think they're trying to find that fit, see who maybe can
probably so
take the permanent spot.
Yeah, probably so.
I think people want a permanent spot. Fans,
I think so.
They do. They like the
I got to tell you, I miss Goldberg in that regard.
Oh,
you know,
I know.
I mean,
I do
people,
too.
you know, a lot of times there's a lot to be said for the familiarity of those voices, and a lot of times, you know, I would see the hardcore fans say, "Oh, you know, Mike Goldberg just says the obvious stuff," but you need that because there are new people tuning in all the time. You know, Rogan's there for the person who's, you know, more the hardcore, but you do have to have somebody who's sort of constantly resetting what you're seeing. Because guess what? Somebody's going to see the Mighty Mouse Ray Borg fight coming up at the beginning of September that's never seen an MMA fight before. Where do you start with him? You know?
But I mean, and it's, you know, fight after fight after fight after fight after fight. I mean, no matter who you put there, you're probably going to hear some of the same words again. Yeah,
you got to make new fans all the time.
I loved Mike Goldberg.
Yeah, plus who's going to read the commercial for the Hitman's Bodyguard? You got to have somebody do that, right? Anyway, all right. Well, so you know, best of luck to Brian Stan. He said he'll still attend a lot of events and stuff like that, and I always enjoyed talking to him.
It might have been the schedule too, because
I mean, brought that up.
Just with Frank. I mean, I know Frank's, you know, traveling all over the world, but the schedule's grueling, you know. And I don't know, does Brian have kids, a wife?
He does. He's got all that.
See, that's a huge.
It's like
that's got to be a huge
he's got
part.
2 or 3 young daughters and a wife. And he had said in his, I didn't read his entire Instagram post there, but he had said in the post that he had traveled 26 weekends out of this past year. That's half the year.
I bet you.
Yeah,
I'm a wife, so I bet you that's half of it. Yeah, she was like, "Look, Brian.
Yeah,
I'm tired of being a single mom, a single parent.
Yeah,
I want you to stay home." It's just hard. It's hard for it's hard for both people. It's hard for me. It's hard for Frank. It's not fun. So I bet you that's a good part of why.
Yeah.
He left too.
There's a lot of comparisons here, but let's draw the line at this. I don't want. Just promise me you won't encourage Frank to get into real estate, because I don't see him. What I would see him doing. Frank is so honest. I think he would show me the home, but by the end of it, he would point out to me all the reasons I shouldn't buy it. You know,
or he would just find a spot to lay in on the inside of the thing and say, "Here's the paperwork."
Yeah.
Go ahead and look around. I'll be here if you need any questions.
I'm gonna curl up in the guest room, take a nap. Let me know if you need anything.
If you need anything.
How was your open house? Well, I mean, I had a lot of questions, but the realtor was playing Clash of Clans on his phone the whole time. I didn't get any questions answered. Yeah,
that game is going to be our demise. Richard.
Yeah,
I know you're his friend, and you like to be the in the middle, but come on.
Yeah,
games. It's an addiction.
Well, it's I don't have any kids, as our listeners would know. But with Frank, I have found that in especially if we've been traveling or something, some kind of tense situation, I just put it in front of him like a coloring book. Like,
I know.
Why don't you play your game there for a minute, and I'll deal with this other thing going on.
Well, it started out, he said, "Oh, well, we're going to play this game with the kids because the kids are all in the clan."
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, that's cute. They'll play a game together. Oh, gosh, it's a whole nother.
Mm-hmm.
He's really excited because Luke Barnett, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's up there with him right now.
Mm-hmm.
Clash of Clan.
Oh, he's a player.
Addict, yes.
Okay.
So Frank was so excited. He
all right.
screenshotted it and showed me.
Okay. Well, we'll have to get an update from Frank on how is Luke in the clan with him, or is he in a rival clan? Do you know?
He's in his own clan.
Uh-oh.
I don't know necessarily how it works. I just know that I'm asking the household to do something. I don't know what it is. And I mean, thank God it's not something important, because I guess it's timed. So they can't put it down. Like once the battle, I guess, is going on, they can't.
Yeah.
So I just have to wait.
Yeah, I've gotten that from him before, where he goes, I'll ask him something, he'll go 45 seconds.
Oh my God, I know.
Yeah. All right. Also, in other UFC news, this impacts Frank's heavyweight division. Junior Dos Santos has been flagged by USADA, and he had a very important fight coming up at UFC 215 against Francis Ngannou. A lot of people are excited about Ngannou. 5-0 in the UFC, 10-1 in MMA. The French Mike Tyson. This guy
when was
is
that fight
looking
supposed to be?
It was supposed to be UFC 215, which was going to be the September 8th or 9th, whatever.
Oh, so
yeah,
so he's already done most of the training.
Oh yeah. And
That sucks.
he was flagged for something called hydrochlorothiazide, a diuretic typically used to prevent high blood pressure. So I don't know, but
so diuretic.
Yeah, but USADA flagged him, so he's out of the fight. We all know how that goes.
Sucks.
And Ngannou
Has he ever been flagged before?
Not that I can remember.
So what will he get, a 2-year suspension?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not mitigated.
How old is he?
Oh boy, Dos Santos.
Yeah.
Dos Santos is not a young man at this point.
Yeah,
Hold on,
he's older than Frank, right?
I will say,
or
maybe not quite, but getting there. He's definitely north of his early 30s at this point. I'll grab that in a second. But yeah, this is. I'm sure the whole thing's going to be appealed and all that, and we've seen some success with that. But nonetheless, he'll be out of that fight with Ngannou, and that was a big deal, especially because Dos Santos has been it's kind of fallen on hard times lately in terms of the top of the heavyweight division.
Did you find out how old he is?
No,
he's 33.
There you go. Okay, he's a little bit younger than I thought.
Okay, so he's 2 years, 35.
Yeah.
I wonder what he'll do though. See, that's the thing with this, with getting suspended. It's not even just the financial part of it, but it's how it hits the fighters. I think some, coming back from that, I don't know.
I'll say this, and not that this would be his choice, but if you want to look in the silver lining department as it pertains to Junior Dos Santos, Junior Dos Santos has suffered some big knockouts recently. I mean, his last handful of fights, he had been knocked out hard a couple of times. So maybe not the worst thing to have a little bit of a break. I don't know if he needs a 2-year break, but, give the brain a little bit of a break. But yeah, so now Ngannou needs a new opponent
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Ngannou is interested in Alistair Overeem, and no word from Overeem's camp yet on whether or not he will he'll take it. He of course is coming off of his trilogy victory.
When was that? When was that?
That was just last month. I was at that fight, right?
Yeah, but that's a hard time. Like if it was a week or two, but if it's already been a month, that's usually the time the fighter,
just enough time to not be training. Yeah,
the 30 days after a fight is like their one time to
just
relax and then get back.
It was in July at 2/13.
There you go. What? Yeah, July
what?
Early part of the month. Yeah. So probably about 6
July
weeks ago.
8th, August. He might have started training again.
Yeah.
Beginning of August. So
he might have been training for something
maybe.
Because I mean he won his trilogy fight over Fabricio Verdum that weekend, and we asked him at the press conference about in fact I think Ngannou's name came up, but as you know, Jennifer, in the heavyweight division, you're only 1 or 2 quality wins from away from a title shot if you're in that top 10, let alone closer to the top of the top 10. And so Overeem I think these days certainly has that case to make for himself, and
does he want to take this fight and then
I mean the opportunity is knocking, and Overeem's older, so Overeem's getting how old's Overeem these days? Can you check that, Travis? Because my internet is freezing up over here, but Alistair Overeem's older than 33. I'll tell you that. Yeah, there you go.
He's younger than 30.
So maybe if he's in anywhere close to fighting shape, of course, Ngannou and Alistair Overeem would be a good fight.
That'd be an awesome fight.
That would be appealing. That's one that's probably not going to decision. I would guess somebody's going to sleep there.
Did anybody promise him a title shot?
No. In fact,
because that would make a difference.
In fact, what happened, as memory serves, after the fight was that Dana, I mean, it wasn't the worst fight anybody had ever seen, that third fight between Overeem and Verdum, but it wasn't awesome. And I think Dana had said something to the effect of, "Well, we need to put on more exciting fights than that if we're going to do a title shot." But again, opportunity has come calling, and I think Overeem could do a lot to help sell a fight against Ngannou, especially with a guy like Ngannou whose rise has been so quick that the casual fan still isn't going to know that name. I mean, you should be excited. If you're not excited about him, it's because you haven't seen him. But a lot of people still haven't seen him.
But if he fought Overeem, they'd know him.
That's what I'm saying. It would be a great opportunity to get him in that, that co-main event picture. So we'll wait and see what happens with that.
But you don't train the week of the fight, so really he only has how many days?
Probably a couple of.
He'd have to have already
weeks.
been training to take it.
Yeah, he pretty much.
If he
would have,
hasn't,
I think.
if he's hasn't been training or doing something else, it wouldn't be smart to take it.
See, and I don't know what Overeem's habits are on that. I'll tell you, to my recollection, Overeem's never been a guy who's out of it like as much as he is in it. I mean, he may not have been actively training, but
well, I'm just thinking vacations. I know, didn't he just have another baby, or he has a small baby?
I don't know. Well, you know more stuff than I do. I don't know who's having babies these days. Tell me what the MMA maternity. Tell me what the MMA maternity ward is looking like these days, Jennifer. Who's in there? I don't know.
Maybe not. If he's gets right back into the gym, but usually, that's the 30 days after a fight is fighters' windows. Vacations, maybe visit family.
Right.
Not necessarily going completely off the deep end with
a
dozen donuts every day, but just more relaxed.
Yeah.
Because then you got to get right back in there. So I'm not too familiar either. I know there's a lot of fighters that just stay constantly in shape.
Mm-hmm. And Ngannou is an opponent.
Heavyweights though I don't know.
Yeah, Ngannou is an opponent that he's going to want to take very seriously too, because this guy is. Have you seen this guy much? The French guy. Boy, he just beat Arlovsky. This guy is he is.
Oh, I know him. I know that.
He's what the heavyweight division I think has needed in terms of new talent. I mean, it's had some great legendary names attached to it for a long time. I mean, it was only within the last couple of years that we saw Frank and Andrei Arlovsky were doing their thing. Where they were like it headed back toward that trajectory. But there really had not been Stipe Miocic, of course. But I mean, there really has not been
new talent.
These and Stipe is such a I hate this for him because I'm such a fan of his, but he kind of just flies under the radar because he's not scary to look at. He's scary when you look at his record, and he's scary when you see his fights and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's funny because people always ask me who the heavyweight champ is. People don't really know that.
Yeah, and Stipe's a guy who I think has a much more interesting story than the one that gets told. I mean, he's still a full-time fireman out of Cleveland. He trains with a smaller gym just there in Cleveland. He hasn't attached to one of the the big super camps or something like that. He's a great guy. I mean, just and not that Ngannou, I mean, there's a little bit of a language barrier there and stuff like that, but I just think Ngannou's the guy who I think you would have less of a challenge convincing a casual fan that this guy is going to take someone's head off. Even though maybe ultimately Miocic takes Ngannou's head off. I don't know, but that's a fight that I think a lot of MMA fans probably have their eye on as far as, we could see that sooner than later if Ngannou continues where he seems to be headed. All right, now speaking of former champions here, word out of the WWE that this is not an official statement from them, but pretty reliable reports.
From TMZ?
No, okay.
I
haven't. I'm not citing TMZ as my source here on this, but that former UFC bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey is training with the WWE. She's training with a guy named Brian Kendrick over there, who is he is a former WWE wrestler himself. I guess now he works in like their trainer system or whatever. And he was one of the lighter wrestlers, which would make sense because you're going to have him, train a woman that fought at 135 pounds. But what's happening over there behind the scenes is the women's division in the WWE apparently is something that in the last couple of years, they put a lot of marketing behind. Like they're even having it main event pay-per-views, which, I understand it's all predetermined and orchestrated and all that, but still they have to, they're $1 billion company, so they're very strategic in their marketing, and they've been putting a lot of effort behind the women's division. It's even, like I said, main evented some of their pay-per-views. Now they're I guess having a tournament where they're looking for new female talent, and one of Ronda Rousey's cohorts, not Jessamine Duke, but the other Shayna Baszler. I lost her name for a second. Shayna Baszler, who, if you remember, when Ronda coached The Ultimate Fighter, she had Jessamine Duke and Shayna Baszler on her team, and then she also had her protege, Marina Shafir, and those 4 girls were known as the 4 Horsewomen, which was a play on the 4 Horsemen, which was like a legendary pro wrestling stable that had Ric Flair and a couple other people in it. So the reports are that what's going to happen is and Ronda has attended WWE events before. She's a fan of it. She's attended the events before and things
Richard,
like that.
We have the call coming through.
Oh, okay. Frank is calling in. Hold on. We're gonna Frank is gonna FaceTime with you.
Hi, babe.
Hi. There's Frank. There's Frank.
Travis.
There's Travis over there. Now turn around so all the viewers can see Frank.
On.
Wave to all. We're on the air, Frank. So wave to all the listeners. There's Frank. Okay. Normally we'd put him up on the big screen, but we just weren't sure how that would go with the weak Wi-Fi connection.
I want to tell him really quick if he'd heard about that.
Okay. All right. Break the news to him here.
Yes. Richard heard through the grapevine that Ronda Rousey's training in the WWE.
I heard that too.
Even in Grozny.
Yeah. I guess we must have the same source. Yeah.
You heard that too? I think it's a good... Huh? He said maybe from you.
Oh yeah, maybe it was. I might have told him, and he might have forgotten already. I could have been his source on that. Yeah, absolutely. Hold the phone a little closer to the microphone, not all the way up. Yeah, just so we can pick it up.
Oh, okay.
Frank, what's going on over there in Grozny?
It's 6:12 in the morning. I'm just waking up.
Oh, just waking up, or was there some kind of all-night crazy Groznian party over there? That's what that sounds like. No?
If there was, he's not going to tell me.
Place to go to bed early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, he has stories to tell you on the podcast when he gets back.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes, they took him on a, what would that be called, babe?
Airsoft attack gun? I don't know.
A what?
What would the whole experience, it was an experience, though. The whole experience would be called something.
Yeah, you have to show him a few pictures afterwards to show him.
Oh.
Yeah, see, we lost him.
Apparently he's not allowed to talk about it. They just cut him off right there.
It's funny because they control the internet.
Oh, yeah.
So there's things he can and can't look up.
Oh, what has he tried to look up that he gets the error message, I wonder?
Well, he's been gone for 12 days, so I'm sure you guys can figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyways, he did this, I have the video, this airsoft, Travis, you would like it. An airsoft, they all look like rifles, though. They all look like huge guns, and they drop them in the middle of, it looks like the freaking jungle or forest and mountains, and they spread out, and they all have tactical gear on, and they put colored tape on each of their arms, and then they just go out and shoot each other. And
what is it, like paintball?
It's not paintball, though. It's these
but it's something non-lethal,
yes.
I hope.
Yeah,
okay.
but he had huge welts, one on his eye. I know. It was pretty
Sounds wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
Well, the idea then is that, it's good to hear from Frank on his podcast. Yeah, maybe we'll get him for another minute or two here if he can reconnect. Okay. But so the word is that the 4 horsewomen will come back together, and they will have a WWE stable over there, and then that will all lead to Ronda doing something presumably at WrestleMania next year, which I think occurs in April.
I think that's better for her. I think that's
perfect
good
for her
I think
right
it's
now.
Perfect
isn't it?
for her, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think it's perfect for her. She's definitely has the character. She's got, you know, she's tough, she's strong, and she doesn't have to worry about losing.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, no,
I mean,
that's true.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's no,
and
you know.
unfortunately, losing's a part of fighting.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're
So-
right. It's very, you know,
I think she'll be great at it.
It's like doing movies. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you get the script
Yep.
before you start shooting the film, so you know the outcome and
Yep.
things like that. And
it's very physical. She looks the part.
yeah, no, she'll do great at that,
Yeah.
and she likes it. That's the other thing too, is she was a fan to begin with, and so she'll be a fan of getting to be in the WWE. And there's, you know, Brock Lesnar has reclaimed his throne over there in terms of being a top talent after starting in wrestling and then coming to the UFC and then back into wrestling. And, of course, who knows if we've seen the last of him in MMA. People are always, you know, Frank and I were talking about as soon as we announced his signing with Bellator.
Oh, I know. Frank
people are
wants
always
that trilogy.
interested in that
Yeah,
third
yeah.
Brock Lesnar fight. Although I'll tell you what, I don't know how much of a fight it's going to be, Jennifer. I saw Brock Lesnar fight The Undertaker recently. He barely got by him, and The Undertaker's like in his late 50s, I think. So I don't know. I mean, it looked like he was having a hard time defending a rear naked choke that didn't even look like it was really sunk in.
I know,
don't
but
know.
is it? But is? Yeah, I'm not familiar. I don't know. Is it? Was it? He supposed to act
Yeah.
like he didn't get? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm doing pro wrestling humor.
Oh, okay.
This is the part where this is the
I
part.
don't watch pro wrestling.
This is the part where Frank's like rolls his eyes because I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it looked like the triangle choke. I mean, it was like, I mean, he looked like he had
gets so
plenty of
frustrated.
space to
Yeah.
breathe in there, and he just looked like he was having the hardest time.
I'll
Yeah.
ask Frank the questions though, and I'm serious because I don't know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He doesn't have time for that.
Well, here's something that I know you know about, Jennifer, and the reason that you know about it is because your daughter Bella knows about it, and that's Justin Bieber. The Biebs, they call him. Now, the Biebs has weighed in on the Floyd Mayweather fight that's coming up this weekend with Conor McGregor. Now, a little quick backstory here. Justin Bieber is having a crisis. Go ahead and pause that real quick before you go. Yeah. Justin Bieber is having a crisis of conscience because a couple of weeks ago we actually had Bella on the podcast to talk about what she knew about the mysterious shirtless pastor figure that has emerged in Justin Bieber's life. There's a shirtless pastor
Yes.
who is apparently trying to bring Justin Bieber closer to God and get him further away from Floyd Mayweather, which makes a lot of sense. I don't think you can have both. And so the shirtless pastor has struck again because now this is according to TMZ. The Biebs is distancing himself from Floyd Mayweather.
Why though?
Well, because the shirtless pastor has deemed that Floyd Mayweather has, for example, an obsession with strip clubs. He thinks that's the wrong path for Justin Bieber to go down. And apparently this has gotten serious enough that Justin Bieber unfollowed Floyd Mayweather on Instagram. And that right there, I mean, you want to know about the 21st century version of declaring
that's
war.
a stab in the back
That
right
is.
there.
And Floyd is incensed. I mean, this is somebody who, Floyd Mayweather had Justin Bieber walk him out to, in fights in the past, which I always enjoyed watching because when they would come out of the tunnel, it looked like Justin Bieber was very confused as to where they were. He would do his look where he's like, where are we? What are we doing?
I think that's supposed to be the sexy look.
That's what Bella told me. She said that
she did, yes.
that's a confirmed thing that he does.
That's supposed to be his Zoolander.
Yeah. Apparently, the tween girls now are attracted to just kind of a stupid look. Guide me out of here because I don't know where we're going. But I guess a TMZ cameraman caught Justin Bieber coming out of church and asked him a variety of things, but I guess asked him what he thought would happen in the fight this weekend. And here's Justin Bieber's thoughts on how Floyd Mayweather's going to do.
How's it going, Justin? Looking good, brother.
Thanks, man. You too.
How's church doing?
Church?
Church?
Church is good.
Good. You thinking about opening up your own church?
No.
No, not at all?
Nah.
Nothing like that?
Nope.
What about music?
What about music?
You know, will you work with one of the artists with it at the church?
Nope. I'm not working with any artists at the church.
Cool. Cool, brother. What about the fight, man? I know your team,
Yeah.
Mayweather team all the way.
Yes, sir.
But you think Mayweather might actually knock him out?
I don't think so.
But it's gonna be a good fight, right?
I think it'll be a good fight.
Great. All right, brother.
My song comes out on Thursday. It's called Friends.
Friends?
So you should check it out.
I definitely will, man.
All right, dude.
Hi, Justin.
Working in a plug there at the end,
Oh
which
yes,
is
I've
smart.
already listened to Friends 10
yeah?
times a day since
Oh,
it
yeah?
came out a couple days ago.
Have you?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bella,
Yeah, that's right. Is that where you're picking
Saturday.
up? Yes, we're going to get to that.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
I've
yes,
got to
yes.
we got to pay off on that here in a minute because we had big news in the Mirror
so
household
he
this
didn't
weekend.
really. I mean, he didn't really say.
He just said he doesn't think Floyd's going to knock him out, which to me, I would imagine really upsets Floyd Mayweather if you're Floyd Mayweather's friend. I think you're
Well-
supposed to say that he's going to knock him out, whether you really think that.
Well,
or
and
not.
I just think so many times Justin Bieber doesn't say anything because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't feel he needs to give the public an explanation. So I'm curious why he decided to answer that question.
Yeah. I don't think Floyd's going to knock him out either. I'm kind of concerned that it's going to be a lackluster 12-round decision victory in Floyd's favor, just because I don't think
I don't know.
think he'll be willing to take the chances that he'll need to take to knock him out.
You don't think that's what it is? Not that he can't knock him
Mm-hmm. Right.
out, but that
He'll
might
be
not take
comfortable.
but his fights are kind of like that, though. He's
They are like
safe.
that.
Yeah,
That's why I
he's
say
safe,
that.
Yeah,
That's why I say that. And so I think he would probably have opportunities that he would not have had. He would have had very few times in his career. I just think he'll be happy to.
Where are you watching
to
it?
win it? Well, I believe I'm going to be over at Stately Travis Manor for that.
Oh,
one.
okay. Because Frank was asking me if I was because he wants me to get it to tape it.
Oh, okay.
If I was gonna if everybody was gonna come over and watch it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, we should all go in together then. That would be silly to put twice the money in Floyd's pocket.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
is
unless
true.
Travis already has
you
a
want-
big party
Yeah,
planned.
do you have
I'm
a
all,
big
I'm all
party
down
plan?
for whatever, but
Okay.
don't use the word stately at my house. It might be a little tight, so I'm down
Do
to
you
do
want
whatever.
to? I mean, Frank wants me to get it regardless. Do you guys just want to do it here?
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
cook.
down for whatever.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Who
We'll
needs
do that.
Frank? We'll just have a party without him,
Hey,
right?
well,
All right.
well, why don't you take the night off? I'll cook.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you know how to cook?
slightly.
I'm down with that. Can
Cool.
I got to make something though. I got to bring desserts or make desserts or I got to make some sides or something.
Okay.
Do you guys have a grill?
No.
All right, I'll work it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Travis?
because I saw your Instagram posts.
Richard, I can't cook for you.
No, that's okay.
I've got
I'll-
Richard. I got you and Jen.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
I got you
well,
and Jen. I'll have dinner and dessert for you guys.
it takes a village, as we just illustrated.
Yes. Okay. Saturday night, my house. What time does it
Excellent.
start?
Probably 7, something like that.
Okay, so like
yeah.
6. Okay.
Yeah, very
Got it.
good. Okay, excellent. But yeah, I think I to a degree, Justin and I probably, well, actually, to a degree, probably completely, we agree on the outcome of the fight there. I think we both are making the same pick.
Yeah, but I agree. I think Floyd would probably be sad. I would be upset about that.
Yes.
Justin's behavior.
Yes.
Because regardless if that's a decision that he has to make, I don't know him and Floyd's relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Floyd's kind of been like a big brother to him. If he
Yeah.
talked to him and said, hey, look, you know, I think that they could have just had that talk.
Yeah. It would be like if a shirtless pastor came along and coerced me into unfollowing Frank on Instagram.
I can't see that
It would
ever
hurt.
happening.
No, I can't see it either.
I can't see that
No,
happening.
we have a stronger bond than
Yeah,
the Biebs
no.
and Floyd have or had. Hey, so let's actually go ahead and tell everybody this big news that happened this weekend because Jennifer alluded to it here just a second ago. Big news was made in the Mir household regarding running over competition in a jiu-jitsu tournament, and it was not Frank. It was not Frank doing it. No, it was Bella.
It was Bella.
Tell everybody what happened.
Okay, so, and she'll be home any minute too, because she's
Okay.
probably going to want to show her medals.
Yes, and her
So-
saber.
Yeah.
She was awarded
She was
a deadly
so
weapon
excited.
for winning one of these
Yes.
divisions. Yeah.
So Isabella obviously has grown up in fighting. She's trained, little bits here and there. Obviously,
Your
with
daughter.
Dad and the kids.
And how old?
Yes.
How old now?
She's 14. So, but for the past year, she's been training faithfully at Robert Drysdale's, you know, every week training. So she's had, you know, a little less than a year. So for the jiu-jitsu tournament, she wanted to do gi and no gi. We entered her in, well, we were going to do novice, but she couldn't because she has wrestling.
Right.
So
This was NAGA tournament, North American Grappling Association, came to Las Vegas over the weekend. And this actually, because a year ago I did my first jiu-jitsu tournament. It was weird how much we had. I was sitting there going, God, I wish I'd have done this when I was 14 instead of my mid-40s. But yes. So when you enter for the first time, typically you can enter as an absolute beginner. And because you've had no experience, but they do take into account if you've had wrestling experience. She's wrestled because we played the video on the show before.
Yeah, they said any wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah, they said wrestling. She cannot do novice. She has to do beginner.
Okay.
Beginner, 17 and under in her weight. So,
or is it the other way around? I think it's beginner then novice.
It's novice then beginner.
My mistake.
It goes
Okay,
novice,
gotcha.
beginner, intermediate,
Okay,
advanced.
but she couldn't do the
couldn't
entry
do
level novice
no.
because
So-
of that.
So
Okay.
and that's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. So she did beginner, 17 and under. No-gi is
Right.
what she competed in first. So she competed in that tournament, or she competed in that match, and she dominated this girl so devastatingly that the referee and the head of the Naga came over to Bella's coaches and said, no, she has to compete the rest of the tournament in women's intermediate.
Which was it's 17 and older, or 18 and older, 18 and older. Yes.
So, you know, Frank wasn't here. I was, well, you were there. I was freaking out because I didn't know. I mean, that's 3 steps above from
Yeah.
what she's doing. I mean, she's strong and she's good, but it doesn't, you know, I didn't feel that.
Yeah, these are women who can legally buy packs of cigarettes at this point that we're talking about
she's
here.
only 14.
Yeah.
So she competed and she took first.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Yep. Won the gold medal in the
Yeah.
no-gi as well, even competing against the women. It was very exciting.
Yeah.
I was very impressed, very
And
proud.
thank you again. That was so, you really stuck in there. We were on the floor having snacks that I brought. I mean, it was 10 hours.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was good for me to be at anyway because I need to I need to make a return to defend my silver medal
You
in the old
should.
people's division, and so
You should.
next year I probably should do that because I realized like Bella was, you know, we were talking. She and I were actually talking about the fact about how you really can't be a blue belt until you're 16 because they under 16 they have like some different kind of kids versions of the belts, right? But she's rapidly working her way up through the belt system, and I was thinking about how long I've got to have anything to possibly hold over her. And it's like less than 2 years now. It's like once she hits that, she'll be blue, she'll pat, then it's all, then I'll be asking her to corner me.
She's so strong.
There she is.
Oh, Bella, come in here. We're just talking about you.
Yeah.
Get your sword in your, it's on the wash machine, your sword in your...
Don't brandish it. Don't pull it out of
Yes.
the sheath because we don't have a lot of room in here, and so someone's going to end up being decapitated probably.
Yeah, and poor Frank. I mean, he was just dying over there in Grozny. He was commentating
Yes.
the ACB.
Yes.
And texting me in between commentating, and just it was.
Yeah, he was. What's your
Ooh, sorry,
mic there?
babe.
Yeah, sorry, we're real tight quarters here.
She just got back from
All right, so
jiu-jitsu,
there's the
actually.
camera, Bella. So you got to just kind of look into there, and
Oh,
Let's
she's
see
gonna
here.
eat a gummy bear first,
Okay.
real quick.
so just kind of look into the camera right there and wave. Everybody can see you probably right where you are. Yeah, that's good.
Can they see
And
us,
then
Travis?
so yeah, I've got.
Oh, you
I
can tell us if they can see.
Yeah, and then hold your medal up there to the red camera there. That's the gold medal right there. Okay, and then here is the saber that was awarded for that. She got that for the no-gi, right?
First place for Nogi, I got the sword, and then
Yeah.
they won't let you get the another sword because they don't like kids like walking out with like.
I think
with
that's
the sword.
probably a good idea. Yeah, it's a one sword limit, because if you think about it, if you have 2 swords, then that means your little brother gets one, and then we have a sword fight, which is
Yes.
a terrible idea
Yeah.
for Naga's liability waiver they carry with their insurance company. So, but that is a real thing in there, right? That's like a real real sword in there. All right. Well, that is very impressive. I'm very impressed. And you inspired me. I was just telling your mom before you came into the bunker here that seeing you accomplish this reminded me that I need to return to Naga next year to defend my silver medal, because they say you're never really a champion until you defend your title, you know. And see, I haven't defended mine. I've been basking in the glory of my medal victory for like the last year, and frankly, it's wearing thin. So I need to return.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
There's the California Naga September 10th.
Well, I've got to have a full training camp. I don't know that I'm going to be ready by September 10th.
Well, Bella will help you.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, by this time next year, you may be cornering me. So I saw a glimpse of the future, trust me, when I
Yeah.
saw that dominance. My victory did not look nearly that dominant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. And when your dad gets back, we will play the video. I thought it would
Okay,
be
yeah,
fun if he
yeah.
did the analysis.
Oh,
for
that
the,
would be yes, because he
could-
was so impressed.
Yes,
yeah.
he can tell
I
us.
want to hear the analysis too from him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you too to James.
Yep,
for being there.
James Horn, Frank's
James Horn.
training.
And yep.
Coach Manny was there. Yep.
Yep,
Yeah, James was cornering Bella, and Manny was as well, since Frank had to be overseas. But Frank was on the FaceTime. I saw that he was able to see what's going on.
He was gone too.
Yeah,
I
he
know.
was doing a seminar somewhere, something like that. Robert was, yeah. So everybody was very proud. Well, congratulations on that again.
Okay.
All right, there goes Bella and her saber,
Do your homework, babe.
her medal. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get into a couple other news items, and then we'll close out with a blistering round of Ask Mrs. Mir. I know people are anticipating that. Let me remind everybody to go to phoneboothfighting.com. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons. It is the website. It is our space station of cyber presence for the show. You can get all of our previously aired and archived episodes right there. But there's a couple of key things there. Number one, that Amazon banner. You hear Frank talk about this all the time. If you're going to shop on Amazon, just about everybody does, do us a favor. If you're a supporter of this show, go to phoneboothfighting.com, click through our Amazon banner, and then do your shopping just as you would normally. Will not cost you anything else, but Amazon kicks back a little percentage of each purchase you make back towards us. We put that back into the show. That's how we grow it. That's how we get more video cameras and microphones and all the sort of thing that we need to make this thing run. So you can support us that way with our Amazon banner. Also at phoneboothfighting.com is the store, the merch section. We've got T-shirts. We've got autograph posters. We're about to have maybe some new things pop up on there as well, which means we have to get rid of some of the inventory to make room for some new things. So we've got some sales going on up there. We've got the Phone Booth Fighting Ladies Tee. That is a new thing, the ladies cut shirt.
I love how it's called the Ladies Bella.
Yes, it is. And the Mrs. Mir was wearing the ladies Bella at the jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yes,
so thanks for repping that.
Did you notice what I had on today?
Let's see. Today you have the Team Mir Frank Mir Ultimate Fighter shirt. Where did
We
those
wore
come
this.
from?
My uncle had these made when Frank won the belt from Nogueira.
Really?
Yeah.
So the second title fight. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
And we got the girl shirts up there. Also, the limited edition black on black is up there as well. So check them out. And the vintage fight tees, there's a few of those left, but when they're gone, they're gone. That's our last run of those. So
Hey,
get them
Jennifer?
while they're hot at phoneboothfighting.com.
You were spotted at Naga. One of our listeners wrote in and asked who was wearing the ladies' tee.
oh, I was.
And wondered if it was you. Yeah.
yeah,
So
it was. I was wearing it that
yeah.
day. Yeah.
I don't know his name, but his Instagram is ali.manayan. I probably just butchered that one, but he was asking
Oh,
who that was, and
Cool.
he gave you guys a shout out.
Oh,
Cool.
well, shout
Thank
out
you.
to
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
He should have came up to me.
Yeah. I don't think it was the guy. Did you, who was the guy that came up to us that was stretching out on the mat that asked if if I was your husband. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah, he thought Bella was our daughter.
Yeah. And by the way, you didn't have to laugh when he said it, just like you did this time. I was like, I started to say something.
No,
I was like,
no, you know why I'm
have-
laughing is because he trains at Drysdale's.
yeah.
So I think that's funny that he's asking if you're the dad, and it's Bella. He trains with Bella all the time. He doesn't
It's
know
so
who her dad
humiliating,
is.
Travis.
Oh
The
my
guy
gosh,
goes,
Trisha.
oh, is this your husband? Jeff's like, no.
I didn't. No, I was laughing because he trains at Drysdale's. That's just funny to me.
Yes, that was funny.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we would. There's no telling what kind of genetic inferiority somebody would have to overcome if I was their dad. You know.
Oh God.
I don't think we would have that world beater out there. We'd had half. We certainly we'd have half of her. You'd bring your half, and then my half would just be like struggling to keep up like a hamster on a treadmill. Probably.
No way.
Well, let's see. So anyway, that phonebuffing.com for all that stuff. Okay, so let's right quick before we do Mrs. Ask Mrs. Mir. I brought a couple of odd news items to entertain you with here, Jennifer.
Is it politics?
No, actually, we're a little devoid of politics
Yes,
tonight.
I'm
Because I had to make way for the woman who was cut in half by the elevator. Yeah,
Is that real?
this was a
Wait,
a crazy story. A 26-year-old woman who was in a maternity ward. This was this over in England? Where was this?
No.
Let's see. Yeah, Spain. That's where it was. Yeah, she was in a maternity ward. She'd given birth to her third daughter. They got her on a gurney. They're putting her in a elevator. The elevator shifts, and I guess just slices her in half. What a weird.
Is she alive?
No, she's gone.
She's dead.
Yeah, just like the Black Dahlia, just
Oh my God.
clean right in half. Yeah,
How
crazy,
does that
huh?
happen?
That's a great question. That's a question for
That's
the elevator company.
horrible.
Yeah, she was going to be transported between the second and third floors of the hospital when the incident occurred.
It said firefighters needed about 2 hours to reach Nunez's body.
Yeesh. You know, elevators are weird. I think about that sometimes. Like, not that specifically that happening on an elevator, but you just think about.
Don't you go in sometimes though, and it doesn't? It just closes. It's
Yeah.
isn't it supposed to have some kind of? What am I thinking of? When it feels somebody in there, and then it opens back up again.
Oh, like a sensor?
Yeah, yes, a sensor.
Yeah.
And sometimes Frank and I will get on the elevator.
Yeah.
And Frank is so funny. This actually just happened in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
The kids we're all getting on, and of course Ronan, so Ronan gets on the elevator, and the elevator closes in, and Frank literally, like the Hulk, steps in between the two doors and just shoves them open. Because
he was alone on the elevator.
It was going to
Gotcha.
close. It was
Yeah.
going to close on him.
Yeah. No.
I thought that was pretty funny. I was laughing at him.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that because it's like, and it probably depends on. I mean, to answer your question, it probably depends on the
How
newness
old?
of the elevator,
Yeah.
exactly. But
They have to check that.
I mean, it's operated on cables and pulleys and stuff. It seems like a question for Travis. Is that right, Travis?
I'm sorry, I was catching up my notes. What I missed?
No. As far as how an elevator operates, do you know? Is it still just cables and gears and things like that?
Everything that I said, it's I mean, it's all cables, but I don't know how they work over there in Spain, but here, I mean, they're super regulated and they're checked all the time. And
Yeah.
And aren't there sensors? They're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right?
If you ever get in the elevator doors, I mean, they're like 3-ply, and if you look in the middle, there's a little thing that's spring loaded, and if it touches anything and goes in, that's what stops the doors.
Well, this
But
one
I
might have been
bet
due
you it's
for a
old.
checkup. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Because
that's horrible.
it was not working properly. Remember, there was that story. I don't know. It seems like it's happened within the last year or so, where there were some. I remember Uriah Faber was involved in this. There were some UFC fighters that got on an elevator at some hotel. There were like 3 or 4 of them at least in there, and the thing dropped a floor or something. Do you remember this story, Travis? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't remember the specifics of it, but
crazy.
somebody was filming it too.
Yeah, it was at one of the fights. It's probably 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I'll look it up and see if I can find
Yeah.
it.
Horrible.
All right. Well,
That's sad.
yeah, bad news for her. Also, Bill Cosby has a new lawyer for his sexual assault retrial. He's got this guy, Tom Mesereau. I've seen this guy before. I'm kind of a trial junkie, so whenever these high-profile trials are going on, I watch them. He was the guy that defended Robert Blake and got him off for the murder charges of killing
his wife,
Bonnie Lee Bakley, and he also defended Michael Jackson in his molestation trial, which that obviously worked out well for the defendant as well. Did Frank ever tell you about our strange connection to the Robert Blake trial when he and I went to L.A. the first time? The first time he and I went, we were doing some shows. We did Fighter and the Kid. We did Joey Diaz.
Yeah, I remember that.
We went over to Joey Diaz's studio, and we had a little bit of time to kill, and we'd been going like all day long. Frank was he was tired, and we went to a little coffee place, and we got some coffee, and he was so tired while we were sitting in the coffee place. I said, why don't you go out to the car and just take a nap if you need to for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, he will.
So he went out to the Prius and got in the car, put the seat back and everything. And when I walked out of the coffee place to drive us to Joey Diaz's studio, I realized that I had parked not only next to that Italian restaurant that Robert Blake went to that his wife was shot outside of, but I had actually parked the car right where she got killed, sitting in the passenger seat, and there's Frank stretched out, looking half dead, laying there in the passenger seat.
That's weird.
It was like we were trying to recreate the
Did you take a picture?
visual or something. I did.
Oh, you
a picture
did?
of that. Yeah, maybe I'll bring it
me.
for show and tell next week or something. Yeah. So Bill Cosby's got himself a new attorney. I think Frank has Bill Cosby on his death pool roster. And when Frank gets back, we need to update the death pool roster because our listeners, we have, I think, upwards of about 100 listeners competing in our show league. And the guys who are doing well, they want some credit. They want some shout-outs on the show, and it's well-deserved. So
yeah,
we do need to review that and talk about it. Okay. All right. Back to crazy elevator incidents for a second. Jennifer, you'll have to help me with this one because this is a world that you know a little something about. Jay-Z, a couple of years ago, got in a fight with his sister-in-law on an elevator, and this was captured on video, and it's coming back up in the news again because Jay-Z has talked about it.
Yeah,
he sang about it. Okay, hell, you take it from me. Tell me what you know because I don't know all these people.
He sang about it, and then he went on a podcast and discussed it a little bit.
Okay. Go and play the video so we can just, I think it's silent, but we can see what happened here. You got Jay-Z, and there's Solange. She's the sister-in-law. And there's Suge Knight there trying to... Oh, that's,
no, it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah.
I give Jay-Z credit because, he stays pretty calm.
Yeah.
Because she
threw a kick.
Yeah,
that was an oblique kick. I mean, that could have tore his
I love
his
how
knee.
What I thought was so strange though was that Beyonce isn't stepping in at all. Like she's not saying stop it, stop this.
Almost like
to either one of them.
She might have given her the signal.
The blessing.
Kind of the go get attack.
Maybe.
Like, when...
Because I have sisters. I know how that is. You stand back and...
Yeah, like when you give your dog you say that German word or whatever, they train them to go crazy with.
We're never going to know the real truth.
Yeah. What was the gossipy story here? Why was she mad at Jay-Z?
The rumors were that he was trying to hit on some girl and... Solange was sticking up for her sister.
Solange might have seen what happened and was...
And in his song, it kind of was the same, too. But then in the podcast, it kind of was... I think he was kind of leaning towards that they were having, writer... What's it called? Let's see. What did he say? Well, it should say right there that they were almost having a disagreement of talent, like their industry, music. Like he kind of made it sound that's what they were arguing over.
Oh, like a business issue. Okay, I see.
Like maybe she's an artist and he's an artist, and they weren't seeing eye to eye.
Like maybe one of them thought a Destiny's Child reunion was a good idea. The other one was voicing some opposition.
Yeah, I don't know.
And things got out of hand.
Like I said, I don't think we'll ever know. But you know what? I mean, they don't owe us an explanation.
I did see this lyric quoted in his song "Kill Jay-Z," where I guess he sings in the third person.
Yes,
he
I
says,
like that song.
He says, "You egged Solange on, knowing all along all you had to say you was wrong. You almost went Eric Benet. Let the baddest girl in the world get away."
Because Eric Benet cheated on
Who was he
Halle
married?
Berry.
Oh, he was with Halle Berry.
And he cheated on her and let her get away.
Oh, I see. All right.
See?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It's a good thing Jay-Z went on this other podcast and not Phone Booth Fighting, because we would have gotten to the bottom of this. There wouldn't have been so many
I
questions.
would be so happy if he came onto this podcast.
Yeah. Frank and I
I'm a
would have
fan
gotten to
of
the
his.
bottom of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe he would have told you guys.
That's right. I would have tricked it out of him. See, I would have tricked him into thinking it was his idea to tell me what really happened.
I'd love to talk to Jay-Z.
Well, maybe for
Someday.
2018 we'll get to work,
on that.
What we can do right now, though, is entertain everybody with a fiery round of Ask Mrs. Muir. You ready for this? This is Jennifer Muir's signature segment. We've done it a handful of times on the show. It gets better and better each time. And now it's to the point where the listeners anticipate it. I was saying at the top of the show that we had been getting some requests for this even before people knew that Jennifer was going to be sitting in on the show. You ask Mrs. Muir the questions, and she answers them. So here we go. Let's first, Travis will check in with our Phone Booth Fighting Instagram page. Let's see here.
I like the very first one.
Okay, we'll start there. This one from Brian Wolf. What is your fight day routine like, and what is Frank like on fight day? All right. Okay. Is there a set routine?
Yep.
Is it okay?
Yep.
Tell me how it goes.
You know what's funny? People don't know either. Every single fight, I hand squeeze an entire watermelon and send him with a thing of watermelon juice. Because it's supposed to be like lucky, good luck, and it settles the nerves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I do that every fight.
Oh, I didn't. How many fights? Did you start that from the very beginning, or where do you think you started
Let's
that?
see. I probably started that, I think even Tim Sylvia, I was doing it. I
like it how you guys tell time by opponents.
Everything. I know. Everything. Time. We tell time by opponents. Purchases, like things, houses.
Purchases, yeah.
I mean, just certain things like, oh, we
Win
did
bonuses.
this. Yeah, we did this from. Oh, remember that vacation? That was Brock Lesnar bought us the boat. Remember
right,
that?
right.
And Nogueira bought the new
Yeah.
Escalade. And we do everything is through fights. What is your fight day routine like? So, Frank eats frozen waffles, Eggo waffles. And it's funny because, okay, so I don't buy Eggo waffles for my house, and I don't buy regular syrup. We have the healthy waffles, protein, all organic. And then my kids use the organic syrup, 100% pure maple syrup. So when the kids were little, it's so funny because he wanted Eggos and regular syrup in the morning. So I would buy them, and the kids the next day, they'd say, we want waffles and syrup. So I'd make them the waffles and syrup that I buy. No, the other ones. I go, no, there are no other ones. These are them. And Bella and Cage would say, no, Mom, the other ones. They're probably thinking, why is she making me go crazy? But so he has waffles in the morning or whenever he wakes up. And then he's not talking, mind you. Like he'll just say, I want to go to the arena, or like I want to go to the hotel, or I want something to eat. Like there's not really any talking. So besides that, and then, so when they ask, what is Frank like on fight day? He's extremely quiet, focused, sleeps a lot.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Sounds like when he made his stand-up comedy debut too, because I talked to him that day and he told me it was very much like a fight day. He was he's like, I'm taking a nap, and
he sleeps when he's nervous,
or
when he's upset or stressed or anything. Sleeping is the answer. So he'll stay up the night before as late as he possibly can, so he could sleep as long as he can the day of. Yeah. So then by the time he wakes up, we pack everything up, and then he might say, "I want to go down to the hotel now." He might not. So I'm just kind of like we're like all on standby.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
We'll get ready and do it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Let's give somebody else a chance here. What does
Galen, do you see what Galen put?
Okay, Galen says
who is one of our business partners.
Yes. Which of Frank's business partners has better hair, Richard or Galen? Boy, Galen has some good hair.
Galen has some good hair.
He does.
He has the good hair.
Yeah, he's kind
and
of
I think Frank's got the best hair.
Yeah, no, Frank
Frank's
does
got
have some
great
good hair. Yeah.
Galen has good hair.
Frank has like underrated good hair because he doesn't do different things with it. He's got like a set look. But he's got hair that if he wanted to, like, you could grow that out, you could style it, you could flat iron it.
Well, he doesn't have a set look. He has the no fro. You know, he has the fro and doesn't do anything with it. Or when he does it.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, he doesn't like grow it long and then cut it short and then doesn't. No. Yeah,
he kind of has. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Galen does have some good hair.
Yeah.
Galen's
but
kind of a well,
you've got good hair
too. Galen's kind of a total package, though. I'm a little. There's a lot of things I'm envious of when it comes to Galen. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, here's a Montana 83 native. Besides the obvious, Jennifer, what is the hardest thing about raising kids in Vegas? And what's the best parts about raising kids in Vegas?
The hardest part about raising kids in Vegas is trying to convince them why they should go to college. When they can go down to the Strip and be valet, cocktail, bartender, and make $100,000 a year. Yeah. So I think that's the hardest thing about raising kids. Yeah. So that's why we just put them in private school.
Why am I not valeting on the Strip? You can make $100,000 a year doing that?
Well, probably not since they started charging, but before we've had friends that do valet.
Wow. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I should get in that line of work.
Yeah. What are the best parts about raising kids in Vegas?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I like it just because Frank was born and raised here, you know, and since I've moved here, which was 14 years ago, they really are changing so many things, you know. I love our kids' private school. It's amazing. You know, all the sports, the clubs, the football club program, softball club that Bella plays in, the travel ball. I love all of that stuff. The Smith Center.
I've also got to think too that, and I could be wrong, but it would seem to me that you guys might have been given what Frank does for a living. He's fought in the UFC, your whole marriage, the whole time the kids have been around, that you benefited because so much of the UFC business is here. If you lived somewhere else, he probably would have had to travel a lot more, you know, because you've been able to fight in Vegas. The business is in Vegas. Things
and
like
everyone,
that.
you know, he's kind of he's the hometown guy. So, you know, those have been pluses.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Where else are we going to go here? We're going to look at Twitter. Travis, should we look over at Twitter? All right. Let's see here. Here's one from at WMMA News. This guy, by the way, is a great source for stats on women's MMA.
Oh,
yeah, he sends me cool stuff all the time. He's really like a statistician when it comes to that stuff. The question is, for Ask Mrs. Muir, was there a person she got to meet that she never would have expected to meet through Frank's notoriety?
Oh, there's been a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any come to
Channing
mind?
Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah. Well, and Frank's weird because when we go to fights, he doesn't want me asking for pictures. You know, he'll say, look, you know, you're my wife, you know, don't bother anybody, you know, you're not a fan, you're my wife. So Channing Tatum actually, though, asked to take a picture with Frank.
Oh, yeah.
So then
it seems like it would make it okay.
So then I'm like asking him, can I take a picture with you?
Yeah.
Can I ask him for a picture? Can I ask him for a picture?
Right.
So I got to take a picture with him. But yeah, there's been a lot of people. He was a big name.
Jenna Jameson.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a good one. That's That shouldn't be overlooked. Well, I tell you what, if you subscribe, subscribe to our Patreon premium account at phoneboothfighting.com, you can hear the whole story of that.
She's a nightmare.
That legacy between Mrs. Mir and Jenna Jameson.
Oh, yeah. I love this one from Reptizzle. That's awesome.
Yeah, okay. What is a tactic Mrs. Mir uses to get Frank to do something he otherwise would not want to do? That's a good question.
Can I really answer this honestly?
Of course.
Because this is funny.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So anytime anybody wants to get Frank to do something, I don't know why. So I'm the chosen one.
Yeah.
If it's a coach, they pull me aside.
Oh, yeah.
Malky, anybody, we need, UFC, we need Frank to do this interview at 6 a.m. Okay, well, my husband's definitely not a morning person.
Right.
So I'll get the information and I'll wait just at the right time to ask him. So this is so funny, he's going to kill me. I wait until right after we have sex, I swear.
Right after,
and then he's laying there, relaxed, everything, and he's like, babe, yeah, thanks, that was great, whatever. And then I'll say, okay, babe, I have to ask you something.
Oh.
So now he's like, knows it to where he tells me even before.
Oh, he knows it's coming. Or you ask, is
or
there
he'll
anything?
ask,
Because I guess it's not every time.
It's not every time.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll say, is there anything that you want to tell me now?
Yeah.
And I'll still lie to him. Say,
okay.
no, it's fine.
And then it's like you just remembered.
And he does, it. That's my tactic.
That's a good time to get to him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because he'll say, okay, I'll do it,
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. It's good to know because then that way, if I have anything that comes up, I'll feed you the information. I guess we could make it real awkward. You could just pass the phone over,
Yeah. Or I'll say, can I talk to you about something?
Yeah.
Afterwards. I do.
Right.
I say that. I'm like, hey, can I talk to you about something?
Okay. All right. Very good.
That is funny.
Let's see here. We were talking about this earlier. This one from at SodSharp28 says, when will we see your daughter in MMA, the little Ronda Rousey?
Yeah, our Lady Mir.
Yeah, we were
Bella.
talking about the jiu-jitsu tournament earlier, so it's kind of
Yeah.
a good question to good time to talk about that. So he's 14.
So Frank kind of has his plan for her, because Bella, right now, she wants to call Dana, if Bella had her way.
Yeah, we'd probably have to go to some strange third world country to have her make her pro debut at 14.
Yeah, she's so crazy. Yeah, so
she'd probably have to go to Grozny with Frank or something. Yeah,
yeah, we'll just lie and say she's like 19.
Yeah.
So she'll continue to do jiu-jitsu tournaments. Then he, says she can start doing some amateur, which we just found all of this out through John McCarthy. We were Angelo. We were talking about it because he had asked, I don't think Isabella at 14 can do an amateur MMA fight.
Right.
But John McCarthy was telling us that he was going to give us the information. But yes, she can do some amateur MMA. So she'll do that till she turns 18 and then
there you go. Well, as it turns out, Frank and I have a little minority interest in an amateur MMA promotion right here in town.
Yeah.
Real
Well,
MMA.
there you
So,
go. Yeah. So
we could
maybe
get her
Bella
a fight
can get
over
her-
there.
yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
And we're getting all over the social media universe with these questions. We're skipping over to the Phone Booth Fighting Facebook page now. This one from Dakota Atkins. Do y'all like Home Alone 2?
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yeah, we like
Okay.
that
I don't
movie.
remember the sequel so much as the first one.
Yeah, we like it.
Yeah. I remember. Which one?
The kids like it.
Which one's that one? Is that the first one?
That's the first one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the kids like it.
All right. How about, let's see, this one from Marvin Serrano. He said, how are the wins and defeats handled at home? Now, can I
my
jump
gosh,
in? I
yes,
know this
go
is
ahead.
Ask Mrs. Mir,
No,
but I can
go
give an
ahead.
interesting outsider's
Yes, go
perspective on
ahead.
this. Because I was in the room, wasn't here at the house, but you guys had a hotel suite
Yes,
rented
at Red Rock.
after the Arlovsky fight.
Yes.
And it was a good fight. It wasn't like Frank had a bad night. I thought he won the
I thought
fight.
he
It was
won,
a
yeah.
very close decision.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't one of those like you just got to be disappointed in your performance or
Yeah,
something like
no,
that.
no.
But he lost that decision. And so I remember going over there, and I think I was talking to James, and I said, oh, yeah, I can come by, or I cannot. You know, like I don't want to be in the way. I don't want to. I imagine like this sort of
Somber,
like a wake.
yes.
Yeah, like everybody's just sort of sitting or and not that it was.
And we've had those too.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously he would have liked to have won, but I was actually struck with, all things considered, how it was still to a large degree just kind of like what it normally is, except the fact that Frank looked like he'd been in a fight. But it was still kind of like everybody was talking and eating and chatting
so much
and visiting.
fun. Yeah, the kids were dancing and putting on little performances for us.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of that
so fun. Yeah,
going on. So,
I mean, we've been together for 15 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that's kind of we've had wins are pretty much always the same. Wins are like a week long. It takes Frank about a week to come down off of a win.
Okay.
Like, I mean, when he won the belts the second time with Nogueira, it was the weirdest thing. So we were all in the hotel. We had a big suite, and everybody was there, family, friends, and he stayed up. Everybody ended up falling asleep. I woke up at it was like 6 a.m. I came out. He was still sitting in the same chair that he was all night with holding the belt, still awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so excited about that. But it's like ongoing. Like he doesn't want it to end.
Yes.
So that goes on for about a week. And then, it's like a month-long celebration. Defeats, they've all been different. The second Brock fight was, even though he lost to that fight, it was a great loss. I mean, I think the UFC, they bonused him more that fight than any fight they've ever bonused him.
Main event of UFC 100.
Not because of that, because of his fight. They said he fought so hard, and it was such a great fight. So
and you know what? And that fight card needed that too, because that was up until Conor came along and broke the ultimate box office record. That was the biggest grossing fight of all time. It was 100. It was the Centennial. And if you remember the way that fight was built on paper, the three main fights that were featured, it was Frank and Brock in the rematch. Then it was George St. Pierre and Thiago Alves, which that wasn't a great fight. I mean, it was very one-sided in favor of GSP. And then the feature bout was Dan Henderson and Michael Bisping. Now, that did have the spectacular knockout from Dan Henderson, but I will say that had that main event been lackluster, I think the legacy of that card would have suffered. It was important, I guess is what I'm saying, that it delivered, and it did.
Yeah, so that defeat, they've all kind of been different. I mean, yes, there's definitely the depressing, go to Nothing Bundt Cake and order 3 of them and bring a fork home.
Oh yeah.
So we've had those, and some of them, like Shane Carwin. We went from that fight was in New Jersey. Was Shane Carwin? It was New Jersey, right?
I don't remember.
It was
where,
East Coast. We literally went from East Coast to San Diego for 11 days. It was like one of our best vacations.
Oh yeah.
So they've all kind of been different. I guess it just depends on Frank's mood. But I mean, I try to remind him. Not that it matters a lot at that time when he loses, but just reminding him, he's doing what he gets to love to do.
Yeah, and I that's probably the real outlying factor, because I think when the average person thinks about this sort of thing, like I've had dreams before where, and I think it's just, you know how dreams are like, some weird random thing that happened earlier in the day works its way into your dream, and then you can kind of piece it all together after you wake up where it came from. But I think it's because of just like covering the sport stuff like I do. But I've had a couple of dreams where, for some strange reason, I had either accepted fights or been offered a fight or something. I'd somehow gotten involved in something that I shouldn't have been involved in. And in the dream, it never actually happens, but I wake up it was like I woke up from a nightmare. Like I was just horrified that I was almost about to do this. And I think the average person would probably think about that as opposed to, I'm getting to do what I love to do, and that's what makes them a unique person.
Yeah, and I think fans, it's hard, here they see you get your ass kicked in front of hundreds of thousands of people, how can you even show your face again?
Yeah.
But I think people have to remember that he's doing what he loves to do. They don't do it because they are always going to win.
Yeah.
Then you get a Ronda Rousey situation. You know?
And you know what's funny about that? I have never been, and maybe I'm, the combat sports are unique for me because I've never been a sports fan outside of them. But just people in general, but we'll use fighters as an example because that's what we're talking about. In terms of anybody I've ever been a fan of, winning and losing that's not how I factor in my fandom. It's competitiveness. It's grittiness, and also the kind of people that they are. There's a lot of things that factor into it. And when I think about people that I would consider myself a fan of, I think the common denominator, it's always guys like Cowboy Cerrone or Dan Hardy. It's always guys who there were wins and there were losses, but what you always associate with them is gallant effort and interesting people and always up for a challenge. So
Frank always teaches the kids, that's one of his things that he says all the time, is that a true champion isn't measured by his wins but by his losses. And Frank tells the kids, I've learned more from my losses than I ever have from my wins. In fact, Robert Drysdale, tonight Isabella wanted to take a picture with Robert Drysdale and her medals. And Robert said, we had talked about how Naga had said that now Bella she's always going to have to compete in women's intermediate. They're not going to let her do it. And Robert says, you know what, I'm going to be okay with that. I'll make, we have to make sure that Frank or myself are there. But he says, I'm okay with it. He said, Bella, you're going to learn more from your losses than you are your wins. I mean, it's something that's always, I think that's why I was kind of so shocked at Ronda's behavior, because she had all the pieces of a champion except that one thing. It just was kind of strange. But with Frank, I mean, he doesn't do it for the wins. And I think another thing people don't see is that even the nights that he wins, they don't see the 10 weeks of getting his ass kicked every single day in the gym. I mean, it's not winning all the time. I mean, I don't know, you can't do it for that. I mean, of course, that's what you want, the competitiveness, and but Frank is different too. He just wants to compete. Like, he just wants that honor that you give me the opportunity to compete against you. I want to test myself, so they don't do it for the win. So he just, I'll always remind him of that, as afterwards, you get to do what you love to do. And not a lot of people get to do that. And you get to get paid for it. Because like he always says too, he would do it regardless. Whether he got paid or not, he would still train and compete.
That is a common denominator with a lot of, and like a lot of entertainers, I mean, even radio was like this, where it's like, yes, there are levels you can get to where you can make a lot of money doing it, but guaranteed by the time you got to that level, you had been doing it for so long for no money that actually didn't have anything to do with why you were doing it.
Yeah. And he's been doing it his whole life. Yeah. So that's, but it's always, the questions I'm asked are a lot of the same types of questions. They're always asked that because I think that people just have a hard time understanding that part of it,
Great questions from everybody. Phone Booth Fighting listeners, we appreciate it. Thanks for participating in this round of Ask Mrs. Mir. I think we had another home run. We got to do this again. You'll be up for doing it again at some point, perhaps? All right. Well, this has been fun. Yeah. You have a good time doing it? You're really coming into your own with this co-hosting thing. I mean, we've done a couple of them now, and it's nice to know that we've got a go-to here when Frank is on the road. So thanks for giving up your evening. I'm just glad,
as long as people keep sending the questions in.
That's right. Well, we have way more questions than we ever get to, so I think we got a good problem to have there. All right. I anticipate we may have a special guest for the second episode of this week. So Tune in. I don't want to promise anything in case it falls through, but I think you guys are going to be happy with who our guest host is for the second episode of this week if all things hold firm. All right, for Mrs. Mir, for Travis over there who did such a great job producing as he always does, give him a follow on Twitter at Scuba T Diving. T is in Travis. You can follow Frank and I on our social media and the show as well. All the info is at phoneboothfighting.com, and we love to interact with you guys that way. For Frank and Mrs. Mir and Bella, who came in here with her winnings, her medal, and her saber, and all the rest of that, I'm Richard Hunter, and we will see you right back here next time for another episode of Phone Booth Fighting.